Welcome back to the channel, everybody. So we have this article. It's titled Flare Network Launches FXRP. It's about time. FXRP to let XRP be used in DeFi apps. All right, here we go, folks. You see how rapidly everything is occurring all around the same time, all within the same day. They plan. I'm not saying Flare by itself. I'm not saying that. I'm saying all of these companies had some sort of idea. They're all on the same page that, hey, 2025, 2026, we're all going to do thus. There's no coincidences. There's cause, effect. And for every effect, there is a cause. Why now? People have been craving for things like this for years. But it just happens the same year that BlackRock's getting super active, central banks getting super active, Ripple is super active. They're all just melding together. Crypto's being unleashed. All of a sudden, FXRP, all of a sudden. Well, they've been working on it for a while, Mick. I'm very aware of what Flare was doing. But once again, there's no coincidences. Why now? You see the video yesterday? They have this whole more intertwining of the relationship between Ripple, BlackRock, Van Eck. Let's read this little tidbit here. So it says, Layer 1 blockchain Flare Network has launched FXRP, a wrapped version of XRP that can now be used in decentralized finance applications. FXRP is the first live deployment of Flare's F-Asset system, which turns non-smart contract tokens like XRP into, quote, over-collateralized, unquote, assets that can interact with DeFi protocols. XRP holders can mint FXRP, a one-to-one representation of XRP, by depositing collateral through Flare's network of, quote, independent agents, enabling the asset to be traded, lent, or supplied as liquidity across Flare-based platforms. The rollout, that lending, and it doesn't have to happen on Flare. This is just one of many to come. One of many to be ways where you can lend out XRP or stake XRP. You're going to be able to, I won't say you, but I don't know who's going to do what out there. But companies, I know, banks have already let it be known. They're going to run wild with lending and staking when it comes to these bank coins, period. They're looking forward to it. So that aspect really catches my eye. But let's keep going. The rollout begins with a cap of 5 million FXRP in the first week, with limits set to increase gradually. Why? All right. Users can mint FXRP. Not that it makes a difference. It doesn't. But still, I will ask the question, why? Just let's go big or go home. Users can mint FXRP directly or acquire it through decentralized exchanges such as SparkDex, BlazeSwap, and Enosis. Wallets like Luminite and Oxenflow also support FXRP minting, swapping, and bridging. To attract liquidity, FXRP pools will initially receive incentive rewards in Flare or reward Flare. So pretty much the same as what they were doing with the test nets or whatever they call those things, and Songbird, etc., where you delegate or stake or whatever and you get rewards. I believe it's similar to that, right? Same thing. The network's native reward token distributed by the Flare Emissions Committee. At launch, liquidity pools such as FXRP/USDT0 on SparkDex, BlazeSwap, and Enosis are targeting annual percentage rates of up to 50%, while collateralized borrowing options are also being introduced. XRP, why did I say it like that? I have no idea. Big things continue to happen to XRP, folks. If you like this type of content so far, take those powerful hands of yours and hit that like button. Flare is positioning the FXRP launch as the, quote, the start of the XRP DeFi awakening. While wrapped versions of XRP have existed before, they were custodial and saw limited traction. Good point. Another quote, the difference here is that FXRP is designed to be non-custodial and over-collateralized with on-chain protocol level verification rather than trusting a single custodian. It says Philip. This is coming from Philip Koprovic, chief product officer at Flare. This is what they told the block. Flare's enshrined data protocols, Flare Time Series Oracle and Flare Data Connector, provide the real-time price and state verification needed to keep the system decentralized and auditable on-chain. Everything's taking off so quickly. I'm just listen. I'm just waiting for more banks to be announced. Banks, non-banking financial institutions, we're going to take those as well, because here's what's going to happen, in my humble opinion. Sort of going a little segue off into I think this is almost more important than what just happened, even though what happened is very, very big for XRP, in my humble opinion. It's a starting point. Starting points are big. It's like when you're in a race. Is not the first, second, third step in a foot race important? Yes, it is. Yes, it is. So it's very significant. So I remember what I was going to speak about. It was the competition between non-banking financial institutions and the banks. Now, here's something that the banks, I would hope they're anticipating this, but they haven't spoken on it. And I believe one of the reasons they haven't spoken on it is because they're operating under the idea that non-banking financial institutions, because they have this lead, they've been thrashing the banks in competition, taking their customers. They can offer better products, they have. And that's why they've been taking the bank's customers, which the banks have complained about over the years. I believe the banks believe the NBFIs are just too comfortable. And so maybe they could catch them off guard, even though this is all happening out in the public. Really not so I mean, any researcher and analyst who is worth their salt knows about this. But I think that comfort, they're relying on that comfortability of the NBFIs to maybe attempt to catch up with them. Here's what I don't think they're anticipating. That could be major, or maybe they're underestimating it. As the banks incorporate these different mechanisms from the new financial system, which will unequivocally skyrocket those prices. In my humble opinion, not financial advice. As they're incorporating lending, staking, delegating, they're maxing out what they can gain off of treasuries of XRP, Solana, Chainlink, etc., Bitcoin. I think the NBFIs utilize the technology as well. I think so. So even though the banks will do better, I think the non-banking financial institutions, there's no way that they don't incorporate themselves or incorporate the technology, not incorporate themselves, I mean, into the new financial system. There's no way. Why allow them an opportunity to catch up? So that's extra liquidity. If you understand how much capital those NBFIs are sitting on top of, the shadow banking system is sitting on top of, is unbelievable. The banks have been crying out, complaining to regulators, hey, lock them down, slow the NBFI shadow banks down. What they're doing is not right. That hasn't really happened. That hasn't occurred. Not majorly, it hasn't. As a matter of fact, last year, it was crazy because they started to put the handcuffs on the banks themselves, which makes sense. A lot of big banks were taken to court a lot of times. Another reason why they're going to switch over to the new financial system, hands down. Zelle wasn't working. Zelle itself has been taken to court. Zelle itself has been castigated by politicians, etc. The e-money systems are finished. So you need transparency, which the banks have. Many of them have said Ripple provides better transparency on transactions and what's taking place in the financial system. You can look that up yourself. Yeah, I think that this is going to be a sort of an arms race of value, and that's going to lend to these prices going a little bit higher than people are expecting. We're looking at the banks, sure. We've been looking at them for quite some time, but are people actually looking at the NBFIs, non-banking financial institutions as well? All of that is going to be brought on chain. There's no one going to be left out. They can't. They have to compete. They want to thrive, and they don't want to leave money on the table. You tell me what you think about that, right? So now I want to show you this. Hold on. I want to show you how deep the rabbit hole goes in case people don't know. We have a lot of new people in crypto, and maybe some people have forgotten. But look at this. Bear with me. I'm trying to pull this up. I have so many tabs open. I'm trying to find this list of all the different banks and what they've said. And this is not all of them. So banks and financial institutions who have spoken positively about Ripple and XRPL. And this is significant because it shows you where the major minds in the financial industry are leaning, and why those other banks are going to be quite easy to bring on chain, to bring into the new financial system, and they're going to hand that money over. That SWIFT system is going to be easy to take. Don't fall for the tricks and illusions. So Bank of America, of course, we know is all crazy about XRP, XRPL. This is what they said. At one time, they've made a bunch of different statements, but here's one from them. It says, Bank of America has tested Ripple solutions for cross-border payments. Executives have praised RippleNet for its ability to provide, quote, better transparency and cost efficiency, unquote, compared to legacy systems like SWIFT. So when they're not only praising, but they're doing this comparison. No one asked them to, by the way. But it shows you that these big banks, they use SWIFT. They're ready for something new. That's what that mentality shows. Bank of America has a lot of influence. What are those other banks that they associate with or influence? What do they think? You think they don't feel the same way? Let's keep going. These aren't even central banks. These are just regular banks. Wait. I have more. Santander. I should put like this so I could do a chapter, I suppose. Santander launched its OnePay FX app using RippleNet. We remember that years ago, saying it provides, quote, certainty, transparency. So you're hearing it from a bank. Transparency. They need it. I told you they need it. Too many things going awry. Too many payments going poof, disappearing. Too much money, and I can say this because it's been in the news, too much money being stolen. People don't like to hear that. That's just true. Look it up. Executives stealing millions from customers. And some of the regular employees stealing from customers. It was an employee a few weeks back stole like $5,000 from some elderly individual. That can't happen anymore. They need transparency. They need traceability. They want to know when something happens, boom, instantly, so it can be handled or prevented. So when I see transparency, that's what I think. Transparency and speed in international payments, something SWIFT struggles with. No one's asking them to speak this way. Let's keep going. And this, when they're saying this, they're juxtaposing it to the established system, SWIFT. Both with messaging, and then there's always the messaging aspect. Rich data, more information, moving that information at light speed. But at the same time, they want to be able to have a better system of moving the value. They don't want this fragmented system. These banks do it this way, these banks do it that way. That's not going to work. So that's why there's always this comparison there. When they speak, they're juxtaposing it to SWIFT. Standard Charter called Ripple a, quote, strategic partner, unquote, in improving cross-border settlement, highlighting blockchain's ability to reduce friction compared to SWIFT. UniCredit joined RippleNet, noting that Ripple's blockchain, quote, simplifies cross-border payments and reduces reliance on intermediaries. Let's keep going. At this point, if you enjoy this type of content, once again, hit that like button. Royal Bank of Canada published a report stating Ripple could, quote, transform cross-border transactions, unquote, and outperform SWIFT in speed and cost. This is coming from the Royal Bank of Canada. Folks, it's serious. They're going to hand that bank money over, in my humble opinion. This is what I'm seeing. I'm going by what they're saying. What's better than information right from the source? You tell me. Once again, listen. Don't underestimate that cost aspect right there. What did the RBC say? They published a report. You can read it. You can read it. Published. I love these times. The proof is all there. It's just a matter of how people interpret it, I suppose. Published a report stating that Ripple could transform cross-border transactions and outperform SWIFT in speed and cost. Has that changed to this day? No, it has not. Sorry about that. I'm a little explosive. Oh, my apologies. I get a little excited from time to time. Wait. Oh, I hit the down arrow and it just jumps me all the way down. Bear with me one moment. I apologize, folks. American Express partnered with Ripple for US and UK payments. Now, listen, we have, if you need an update on these relationships, do that. Who knows what those relationships are since the time they made these statements. Some of them we know, some of them we don't. This statement here was made in 2017, okay? What we're doing here is more about the mentality and where everything is leaning, rather than let's get an update on what's happening with those partnerships, because they could have evolved. We don't know how they're evolving unless we look deeply into them. We could do that. We could. But this statement here is from 2017. American Express partnered with Ripple for US, UK payments, saying Ripple, quote, has the potential to change the way money is moved around the world, unquote. Has that changed to this day? No. Is there anyone better? No. There's equivalents in the Bankcoin family, but they're working together mostly. Ripple working with Hedera. Ripple working with Cardano. Cardano's trying to work with Chainlink. There's going to be more of this coming together of the new system. They're forming their own body. Does that make sense? Group. They're forming their own group. There's going to be more, right? They're not ignorant. They don't step on each other's toes. Let's keep going. Banco Rendimento from Brazil uses RippleNet for remittances, praising its efficiency compared to Swift's multi-day settlement. This is from 2019. All right, I'm giving you the years on some of these ones a little bit later, and then you can look into it and see what's happening with these today if you should choose. Once again, they like it better than Swift. Has Swift caught up with Ripple as of now? No. Literally, the only thing Swift has is two things majorly. They've been around for a long time, so longevity. That's number one. Number two, they have 11,000 or so banks. Okay, given time, Ripple could take all of that. Ripple could do the same and better. Am I right? You tell me, am I wrong? You disagree? They're all loving Ripple better than Swift. So do you see why now, maybe, just maybe, Ripple has a chip on their shoulders? What about all those banks that Ripple was talking about a few weeks ago? Not a few weeks, a few months ago. My apologies. A few months ago, when they said they had central banks they didn't even name that they were working with. They didn't even name them. You think those central banks don't feel the same? They're working with Ripple. You think they don't feel Ripple's better than Swift? Then why work with them? Ripple is the future. XRP is the future. Like I said before, I also showed they don't even have to go through Ripple. They could use XRP and the XRPL outright. That's the beauty of it all. How many intend to do that? It's getting deep now. Yeah. This is all amazing for Bankcoin holders should everything go correctly. I'm not an absolutist, but right now everything's leaning in our favor. For those who are interested in that bank money, that is. Interbank payments, RWA, payroll. We were talking about payroll for years. Then they come out with articles recently talking about we're going to go deep with DLT and payroll. Did you see that video that I put out? You saw that one with the payroll? Qualix from Mexico. Weren't they the ones? There was a company in Mexico that early on, this is in the beginning of when we first started putting videos on the channel, like 4 years ago. And I believe not them, but there was a company in Mexico was allowing Ripple to test out offline QR code payments and payroll. That was the first time that I heard about payroll was back then. Anyway, Qualix, Mexico. Early adopter of Ripple's on-demand liquidity, saying it, quote, solves the liquidity problem, unquote, in cross-border transfers. Of course, once again, this is in 2017. You know, who knows what the relationship is as of now? You got to look into that. Maybe they have a relationship with them still. Maybe they don't. Who knows? You got to look into it. Once again, it's about mentality. All of these institutions, large institutions, were satisfied with the XRPL. That's not going to come in handy. That's coming in handy right now. I guarantee you. Now that crypto has been unleashed, it's not thought of as something regulators are going to go against or give companies a hard time about. Now they're coming back. They're going to flood back in. They're flooding back in. It's just a matter of time before those announcements start dropping. Big ones. Boom, boom. This bank is using the XRP. This bank is using Hedera. This bank is using Solana. Boom, boom, boom. My apologies. I hit my lamp again. This lamp has survived so long. So many times I've like made a mistake and hit it. There's so many more, folks. I could go down this list. There's a long list here. Chamber of Digital Commerce. This is about industry and policy endorsements. December 2024, Chamber of Digital Commerce structured finance publication highlighted Ripple's collaboration with major banks, Bank of America, Santander, UniCredit, Standard Chartered, Westpac, RBC as a, quote, potential alternative to SWIFT. Go check that out. December 2024. Recent. You see? Potential alternative to SWIFT. For them to say that means at that time, we have made major progress. There's something going on major behind the scenes we don't know about. That's number one. Number two, that shows nothing changed in all those years. I gave you some early positive statements from financial institutions, right? Now you see this one. That's why that was important. 2024, nothing's changed. Now we've come much further now at this time. Much further. The golden age door creaks that much further open. They have the the connections. Say it with me, right? While you're hitting that like button, say it with me. They have the connections for the collection. Say it again. They have the connections for the collections. And we're expecting, right? Yeah, we're expecting an explosion, right? We could go further, folks. Let me stop there. I have no idea how long this video is now. So let me get in a little bit of Bitcoin news and perhaps a little bit of gold news if we have time. So now look at this. More positive things happening for Bitcoin. This article is titled Fold Taps Stripe and Visa and Launch of First Bitcoin Only Credit Card. All right, Bitcoin, do your thing. It's time, folks. I'm not talking about regular people. I'm talking about companies. It's time. Do something. Make a move. We don't have forever. Make a move. Fold is teaming up with Stripe and Visa in their launch of a Bitcoin-only credit card, offering up to 3.5% Bitcoin rewards on everyday purchases. Fold, a Bitcoin-first financial services company, announced today that it is tapping Stripe and Visa to power its forthcoming Fold Bitcoin credit card, a product designed to make Bitcoin accumulation as simple as swiping a card. All right. Are you loading it up with Bitcoin? Or can you spend Bitcoin with it? Yeah, elaborate a little bit. The partnership pairs Stripe's infrastructure with Visa's global payments network, combining scale, reliability, and security with a reward system denominated entirely in Bitcoin. The card, which is set to launch later this year, offers up to 3.5% back in Bitcoin. Why do you reiterate what you already said at the top? I don't understand that, article writers. What is going on here? Is this being written by AI or something? Because I'm hearing certain people are saying certain people are saying that. I'm not sure. I don't want to put that on article writers just yet, but that's a little suspicious that this keeps happening. It says with a flat 2%. I'm not saying anything's wrong with that, except for the fact that I don't like to read the same thing twice in a row. With a flat 2% back instantly and an additional 1.5% for users who pay off their balance through a Fold checking account. In addition, cardholders earn up to 10% back at top retail brands. Okay, all right. So they're making it sound good. My interest here is simply this is a good conditioning. It's going to condition people to be more comfortable with Bitcoin, in my humble opinion. And I know what you're thinking. Most of the people who use this are already probably deep in Bitcoin. Sure. There are those who will be that. But also, there's a lot of people who are just Bitcoin curious. And they're like, what's this about? Maybe I get a little bit of Bitcoin. Let me try this card out. There's card triers. You ever see the people, they whip out their wallet and they're proud of it. It's just all these cards. They just try stuff out. They barely even use them. But maybe those kind of people go towards this and it familiarizes them with Bitcoin. Gets them comfortable with it. They see it's not anything bad. So this could be a type of conditioning, could be very good. Also could be very good, good promotion. You see that people are out there, they're always looking at each other's card. They're swiping and things like that at the store. What's that? There's a Bitcoin card? They're talking in the line at the store. Who knows? Maybe this could be good word of mouth, good promotion. People see people using a Bitcoin card. Right? There's a lot of different ways I could extrapolate on that, but you get the idea. It says, from a consumer perspective, the fold card could make Bitcoin accumulation easier and less intimidating, I suppose. Instead of navigating exchanges, wallets, and private keys, users earn Bitcoin passively as they spend on ordinary purchases. This earn first, earn later, unquote approach has already proven effective in onboarding newcomers to Bitcoin. That's what I was saying, but in what way do you mean? It says, and the card's simplicity may further expand adoption. I wish they would elaborate on that a little bit. Quote, our card offers clear and compelling value and makes Bitcoin easily accessible to everyone. Listen, as long as Bitcoin is doing well and is being a positive light is being shined on it, that's what really matters to me. My interest in Bitcoin is not necessarily, I won't say necessarily, it's not retail. It's not regular people. If regular people were going to explode that price, whether it's Bitcoin or bank coins, they would have done it already. Okay, so where's the big explosions going to come from? Where did they originate from? This recent time, companies, financial institutions. So that's my interest. Okay, let's get some more financial institutions involved, right? What about corporate cards? What about I can't remember what you call them, where the companies offer this to their employees. Employee cards? I don't know the verbiage for that, the nomenclature for that. But you know what I mean. Let's do that. I want companies. I want banks playing with Bitcoin. This is good. I'm saying this is positive this is positive news. I'm interested in the companies and the banks. That's where the big money comes from. Big explosions. Boom, boom, boom. I know it's coming. I know it's been happening. I'm just saying. I'm just putting my little 2 cents in. All right. So now that you have that information, what are you going to do with it? I know what I'm going to do with it. So until next time, everybody, let's get to the money.